Hello there. Hope everybody's doing okay. This is kind of an ad hoc last minute thing on account of we missed the Tuesday. And so I'm here. We were supposed to do a live stream during the day yesterday, but unfortunately, Mr. Donson got sick. Mr. Eric Tinkar is, as far as I know, still recovering from the flu. So here I am. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. What's new? Uh, Not a whole lot. We may have a live stream tomorrow night. I don't know. Hi Matt, how you doing? A little something for you guys to watch during lunch, I guess. And I think you are. Yes, thank you very much, sir. Um, I think you are on the. If you're on the East Coast, this is two. I'm one. You know how it works. You know. Okay, what's going on? As you know, still on sale, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, my book. And I've been slowly working on a second book, which I hope will turn out okay. I seem to be a little stuck at the moment, but I think I can unstick myself to keep going. As far as that goes, I am going to be at I mentioned this before. I'm going to be about 3 cons this year. One of which is for WizardCon 2, which is my first one, and that is in Battle Creek, Michigan. I am in the Oklahoma City area, so I have started a GoFundMe, as Mr. Sherman knows, who is very nice to contribute to. I have a GoFundMe that I'm going to be running um, until the con, at least. And basically, I need a way to get there. Um, I'm too old to be driving. Train is out of the question. Bus. Anybody ever been on a Greyhound bus? That's an experience. It's also like a lot longer. Um, so I'm going to be flying. My wife won't let me drive up there, mainly because she's worried that because I'm old and because I tend to fall asleep during a drive, she does not want me driving. Um, I, it's just the way it goes. So I've been looking into flights there. Um, oh, you're flying up from Florida. Okay, you are the East Coast then, Mr. Sherman. Um, and so I basically we don't have the money for it. We're recently, as of May of last year, both retired and on Social Security, and things are very tight. We want to keep living in this house, want to keep paying mortgage on this house, but I would also like to get my book, give it a good send off. I mean, I'm going to be there. Yeah, I'm going to run games and stuff, but I'm also going to be there with my book, selling my book and signing autographs, signing the books. And this will be the first time, unless I get some, I don't know, Barnes and Noble around here, let me do it or something, but I doubt it. But as far as the gaming community, that's where I'm going to prepare it, and I want to get it off to a good start. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to keep writing books as long as people are going to get them and enjoy them. And I don't know what's going on with my eye today. I've got like allergies like crazy the last couple of days. Watery, watery, itching, you name it. And at night I have trouble sleeping because of my nose. Got to take Afrin and stuff like that. Yeah, the usual stuff. But anyway, that's my GoFundMe. I put a hello Terry. I put a link to the GoFundMe inside the comment section here, so we will do that. Okay, fine. Let's get some good stuff here. I noticed that my friend Eric Tinkar has been doing has been doing videos on clerics and what clerics are and what clerics aren't. He has his own opinions on it, and I have mine, and they pretty much kind of coincide. I played clerics before. I like playing clerics. It's fun. And I just, clerics are one of those classes that I have to have kind of an idea, some kind of inspiration to play them. It's not like I can just go, I'm a fighter, I'll just play a fighter. Fine. I like to get them. It's one of those classes I like to, them and thieves. I like to get very, very specific on them because clerics give you, they're not just holy men. Okay. I'm pretty much on the same page as him where he says things beforehand should happen instead of afterwards how shall I say, an encounters. But he's right. But there's also other things. Matthew Sherman says, clerics are well-rounded. I like the holy warrior aspect. So do I. And like him, I have had to remind players of things like, they're not just healing machines. And they're not just protecting machines. They, as far as I'm concerned, they are the wingman for the fighter. You know what I'm saying? They're the backup fighter, because they're supposed to be warrior priests. That's the whole concept right there, warrior priests. And that, I feel, is the way it should be played. Nothing wrong with that. But there are a lot of people out there, because they have the healing. Yes, plate mail, shield, and mace. But, well, I don't know about plate mail, but I never used to have like clerics who could afford, or the church wouldn't give them plate mail. But hey, they're in there anyway fighting. You know what I'm saying? And yes, they heal. Okay. Paladins can heal. And there's no excuse for not letting the cleric go in there. Oh, don't go in there. Something might happen. Well, okay. Something might happen. But he can't just sit back and go, I'm the medic. I'm the medic. No, you're not just the medic. Get in there and fight. And everybody's so scared. Oh, the cleric goes down. What are we going to do? What you're going to do beforehand is to get a lot of healing potions. That is what you're going to do, and find a lot of treasure and gold in case anybody needs to, say, get raised or something like that. It's not like you cannot rely on a cleric to do all that for you. Yes, it's good to have them in the party. I mean, I wouldn't put it past anybody. Have them in the party, but you got to pull some slack too. I've been in parties when there are no clerics. We just stock up on more healing potions, something like that. Yes, turning undead. That's another thing they could do. And like I said, paladins can too, but they've got to be a rather higher level of paladin. And turning undead is very important. So if you can't get a cleric, you get a paladin. Okay, that's one way. That's one thing that they do that nobody else can do, really. The holy men and the paladins. So, yeah. So, Terry says some of his clerics are undead hunters. That's really good. That is a really good occupation for a cleric. Because they're probably coming from a church that worships a deity that hates undead. There are them out there. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they go every time they go out with a party on encounters, they are fighting a holy war against these things. So that's what, that's the kind of thing you want to do. Because, it's funny, the first time I ever came across clerics in a game, which was very early on in D&D, you can play a cleric. Oh, what's that? Oh, it's a priest. It's a And the first thing you think is, yeah, yeah, right, sure. He's going to be religious, and they're going to be in the back of the party and do nothing. But that is not the case. So go out there and put your clerics to work. There are a lot of ways you can play them. I played clerics as agreeable sorts. I haven't really played them as like zealots of like, I must preach to you and turn you to my deity or something like that. No, never played them like that. But I've done things like I had a cleric of a deity, and he was all about music. He was all about music. And the little I remember he had a protection spell. What's that protection spell that you can put like a a dome over the party while they're sleeping or whatever of force to keep things out. Nobody would let them use it. So why? Because it kept them up at night, because it was noisy. It was music. In fact, I believe one of them yodeled. It yodeled all night. Witch hunters are also good. I have a problem a little bit with witch hunters, not a whole lot, because I can use them as adversaries too and bad guys. But I've never been okay. Let's go into the magic section first, not the god stuff. Let's go into the wizard section first. I do not. I never understood why witches have to be a problem. They are just another type of mage to me. Okay? I don't understand why there's such a negativity about witches and such. If there's negativity about witches, why aren't there negativity about every other sorcerer or wizard or anything like that? Because, like I said, I just see them as another type of wizard. You know what I'm saying? Witches and warlocks, yeah. Warlocks are supposed to be, I believe, the bad. I mean, I know they say it's a male thing, but I also heard I used to date a gal who was Wiccan, who was still Wiccan, and she said we don't use the term warlock. We say witch for everybody. I said, why? Is it because that infers that they are in the black arts and things like that? So I said, okay, maybe I can use the term warlock for the bad guy or something like that. And that I never understood. So witch hunters, yeah, I can guess I kind of use them, but I never automatically think witches are bad. Okay, uh, that's not the way I roll. And let's get back to clerics for a minute. Witches are more what's mentioned more nature-based arcane casters as opposed to druids, in my opinion. That's a good one. That's a good one. Nature-based, um, almost near the sorcerer type, who because they learn their magic their own way, if you know what I mean. But as far as clerics go, let's see what else we got. In Hyperborea, the monk class is part of the cleric class. So that's another take on it. I mean, they still have the martial arts and all that kind of stuff, but that's the take on it. And I find that refreshing. Another type of cleric is the shaman. Now, the shaman is basically the witch doctor, and they do their own holy spells. They are worshiping some nature deity or deities or nature itself. So that's how they get their spells. Yes, Terry, you're right. It could be witch hunters could be a Solomon Kane type character. Absolutely. Um, I always think of Vincent Price, Witchfinder General. One of probably his best movies. Very dark, very dark. Shamans are fun because they're a little bit more lively, you might say. And they do more ritualistic magic. I'm thinking more like Haitian, the voodoo type thing. Uh, Voodoo, I find interesting because the the original voodoo, you know, type type of religion is, from what I understand, these kind of voodoo type magical being talisman things like that mixed with Catholicism, which I found fascinating. That is like, unusual. Let me put it that way. Also, the now wizards can do this too, but the clerical types are the ones who make like zombies, things like that. If you want to take it back to the original zombie, and I do, white zombie, um, they have those. Shamans are big on that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, they also, also, if you know anything about the Jewish religion and mythology, they make golems, usually stone golems, things like that. Other characters can make golems, but they're known for, making the golem, the big stone guys, that kind of thing. And that's another way you can go with it. So the idea of a cleric has a lot of stuff that you can do with it. And I always feel that I got to point that out to players, especially new players. Oh, he's the fighter. I want to play a fighter. Play a cleric. You're a little restricted, yes, with your like maybe weapon choice. And you got to do stuff, follow a guy that kind of like, aligns with your beliefs, or you align with their beliefs, or whatever. But that's a small price to pay, because there are neutral clerics. I mean, that's what druids are all about. They're all for the nature and stuff. But yeah, try cleric. I'm sure you have a great deal of fun. Plus, you can do stuff other classes can't do except paladins, which is turn undead. That's always fun. Yes, clay golem. Thank you, Terry. Clay golems are quite, he says, common in Jewish mythology. That's what I was thinking of right there. I've always wanted to see, I like, as you know, I'm a movie buff, but I also like a certain number of silent films, and they're not all comedies either. I mean, I've got up there, I've got Nosferatu up there, Cabinet of Dr. Caligari, Metropolis, the Phantom Carriage, Hexon, things like that. And the one I've always wanted to see was the Golem. And I understand there was like a series of 3 Golems played by the same guy, but there's only one. The other 2 are lost films, or 2 or 3 or whatever. But they have the Golem there. It's almost like I think it was a pre-religious story of like Dr. Frankenstein, because I always thought that flesh golems were basically the Frankenstein monster. That's the way I play them anyway. That's the way I run them when I'm doing that. But yeah, it all depends on what type of things. Plus, you can do rituals with other characters, things like that, for bigger, holy miracle type spells. I also, rituals. You also have to, in my opinion, you have to be in line with your God to a certain extent. You know what I'm saying? You have to be into a certain alignment with your God, because they give you what they give you. I play clerics as ad hoc spellcasters. Now, I draw the line. Wizards and them, they have to plan their spells out. Clerics do not. They still have a list of spells they can do per level, but they can, And they can switch, like if they need to do a reverse of a spell, they can automatically do it without having to memorize the reverse. Because this is all abilities that the deity gives them. Okay. And the deity trusts them to use it in the right way for the right reasons for whatever they believe in. I mean, yeah, they use it wrong. They can be penalized. I wouldn't mind, like, waking up and the priest, oh, you don't have any spells. Why? Because you did X a day or two ago and the god didn't like it. So it's like, I'm not giving you spells today. Also, there are certain times when gods can dictate what they cast, which to me is really important. That means they know who's in charge. It's a flex by the deity. That's what I'm saying. Because there's sometimes where the deity, this needs to happen, and here is the specific spell or spells that you use on this thing. They can give them orders like that. Probably, usually through dreams and things like that. Maybe a servant would come down and say, hey, listen, okay, the angel said so, the big man said so. Okay, fine. We're going to do that. Also, clerical weaponry. You are not allowed to use any edged weapons unless, and I always use this caveat, unless the deity's weapon, he okays it. Basically, like if you follow, say, Odin has a big old spear, so you can use a spear. Thor has a hammer. You can use a hammer or a club or whatever. They have to use blunt weapons. Okay. I don't ever remember reading in any book, there may be some out there, but any game book where clerics cannot use ranged weapons. Okay. Now, the problem with that is automatically the player, the GM, whatever, will think of, bows, crossbows, throwing spears, things like that. See you, Matthew. Thanks for coming by, and thank you again for the contribution. So what I do is I make available, and I try to take in other people's games if they let me, a bow or a crossbow, especially a crossbow would be better. And what I do is have like crossbow bolts or arrows with blunt heads. I imagine them being able to make arrows or crossbow bolts that have like these blunt stone heads that they've carved into and attached to the shaft of whatever. And that's what clerics do. They're still not using edged weapons, but I don't see why they can't stand back and fire a crossbow. Nothing wrong with that. So Terry says for him, 1 to 3rd levels or spells are prayers, 4 to 5th levels are rituals, and 6 to 7th levels are miracles. Okay, now is that just names that you're using, titles, or like say the 4th, 5th levels rituals, which implies that you need more than one cleric to do the spell? Or is it just that's the name? I'm sure he'll answer me in a minute. But anyway, but that's basically the way that goes. So that's pretty much my idea of cleric in a nutshell. I always like the fact that they can turn undead, because to me as a GM and a player sometimes, it's always interesting to see if it's going to work or not, because that's the kind of thing I totally leave up to the dice. Because it's like, I'd like to see them, like 10 skeletons coming toward them. I'd like to see them turn them all, but that doesn't always happen. Besides, if you only turn a certain percentage of them, say 4 out of 10, that gives the rest of the party something to do. Let them shine. That kind of thing. If it's a higher level undead, and depending on how high level your cleric is, it gets harder and harder. I mean, if there's 3 vampires standing in front of us and we have a higher level cleric, I would expect them to turn them. And I also think that things like vampires and wraiths and things like that, undead that have brains, the clerics are going to be at a disadvantage. They are going to be at least a -1, because things like vampires and wraiths would know how to counter something like that. Okay, names. Rituals do not need multiple clerics to perform. Miracles are prayed and requested by the cleric to his deity. Okay, fine. That would make an argument to say, as they get up in levels of their clerical spells, that the deity would put more and more pressure on them to use this spell, that spell. I mean, yes, they can automatically say, I need you to cast this against that. But as you go up, and it's like, we're really big into like, protection of this type of character, this type of of poor people or children or stuff like that. When you see them, I highly recommend that you use protection spells against them. So it starts out as a suggestion, but then because it just shows that the cleric is getting more and more into the deity, the that kind of thing. And that's, to me, a good thing, because that's just another way for the GM to run the game. And I'm only going to say that much, not anything else. One of my favorite clerics was this guy, and it's so funny because I got this idea from a TV show. Back in the day, I used to watch like American Pickers, and I don't want to talk about all the controversy of that, but American Pickers, and the two guys ran into this one guy up in the upper Midwest in Wisconsin or something like that, who had all this stuff that they wanted to go through and see if they can buy. And, they really have to like kind of, barter with these. Of course you can barter with these guys, but some of these guys can be pretty tough. They can be pretty tough. But this guy was like, every time they offered something, he'd go, yeah, okay. And he'd look at him and he'd give him a smile and go, well, what about this, and this? I'll tell you with one price. Okay. And after a while, I think they started thinking, man, we should really give him, I want to make sure he gets a fair price because he's agreeing to everything. And I thought, that would be a very cool cleric. And so I came up with a cleric who, hey, can you lay on hands to this warrior who went down? Okay. And he would say okay to everything. I mean, he was so easygoing. In fact, there was a couple of times I remember where the other players had to talk him out of doing something because, an evil guy said, will you protect me? Okay. And they're going, no, wait a minute. I mean, and they look and they go, are you charmed? No. And they just go, he's charmed. Yeah, he's charmed. So it's like, let's get him out of here. Kill the bad guy or whatever. Get him out of here. So I played that character for quite a while. I think that was Labyrinth Lord. Yeah, that was Labyrinth Lord. And that was a ball of fun. He was a ball of fun, I'll tell you. It just something else, man. I love when I get the idea and boom, it just falls into place. This is the way I want to play the guy. It reminds me of the time I played a magic user who was a first level magic user, but he thought he was 10th level. He thought he was the magic user. But the thing is, I based him off of like Sir John Falstaff from Shakespeare's plays, who was like, he knows a little magic. He even talked some kid into being his apprentice, and he sent him out to do everything. It's like, yes, I will teach you. Here, watch this. Boom, flame finger, that kind of thing. Oh, how do you do that? Like this. Now he goes around. Oh, wow, thank you. And I just wanted to play him as kind of a con man, kind of a, I've got basically the kid's his servant, and he had some money, and he'd go around with these groups saying, I will take care of your magical needs, and then they found out in the middle of it, it's like, this guy's full of BS. You know that? He really is full of BS. But he's got the kid, full. I'm sure every once in a while they come to their senses. Get out of here, old man. Oh my goodness, why did you say that to me? I don't understand. I've given you I let you do things for me. I just wanted to make him a BS artist. That's all. It was a lot of fun, and he was a magic user. I don't think I could do that I don't think I could do a cleric like that, but I could try. My friend of mine, when we were running Swords and Wizardry, he had a stone golem as his servant. And what he did is he played the character based on Dr. Smith from Lost in Space. And the stone golem was basically his robot who tells him, no, you can't do that. Oh, get out of here, you silly stone idiot. That kind of thing. And that was a ball of fun. That was the one where he actually told he had a tuba. He gave the tuba to it, and there was a person on the stage playing a harp, and so they did a harp and tuba duet, and that ended one of the sessions. That was a whole lot of fun. It was just a blast to do that, and he played it just right, because here was the thing. In my game, I gave them enchanted instruments for some reason. I gave them enchanted instruments, and I remember the tuba. If somebody played the tuba, like they'd play the tuba, and it would be like a sleep spell. Everybody get drowsy and go to sleep. Except that's why he gave the golem to play the tuba, because the enchantment would not work on non-living beings. So he could play it, and the enchantment wouldn't go out because he's not human. Okay, Terry says, I hope this makes sense. Level 1 to 3 tend to be granted because personal faith and actions of a cleric. 4 to 5th, learned and granted from following dogmas, scriptures, granted by the deity. That's good. I like that. Yeah, that does make sense. Because I've seen a lot of things where there's like, say, I don't know, Ravenloft or Hollow World or something like that, where they say their gods don't exist on this plane, but that clerics can still cast spells from 1st to 3rd level. But after that, they're not in contact with their god, so they can't get any more energy or spells or anything from them. So that makes perfect sense. That's the way I'd play it. That's the way I'd run it. Yes, I like that idea. Very, very, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, clerics are fun. My friend Carlos had the purloiner from Hyperborea. He loved that because he was a cleric thief. He worshipped the trickster gods, so he could bless somebody and pick their pocket at the same time. It's all a donation anyway. It's all donation to my god. Sure, you want to do that? Yeah, okay, fine. But like I said, I haven't played a whole lot of clerics, but the ones I did play, I liked. Oh, they were a lot of fun. You gotta think about the variety of a cleric sometimes. It's not like other classes where you can play, 101 ways to play a fighter. and about 50 plays to play a thief, magic user 75, something like that. But the clerics, you got to think about them sometimes, which is okay because you're thinking about the character, which is a good thing as a player. Hear me, players? Okay. I think I think you got my point. Now, this book here, my book, there are no I didn't put any clerics in here. I didn't put any holy men, except for I mentioned like, okay, Lojak's got to get patched up. We paid over the temple and they fixed him up, and that kind of thing. Find a cleric to injuries, but I didn't really put any prominent clerics in this book or holy things. I want to rectify that in my next book. I'm not going to have a holy man as part of the the regular cast member, but they do have to. They're going to be going up against undead in the next book, so they're going to have to grab holy man or something. So I got to come up with a character for that, and I already know what god they're worshiping and what temple they are, and so it's like, so I got to come up with something. Erudite DM says, "Hey Glenn, I've been playing clerics priests here lately. Intriguing, very much so. Especially if you have a Divis game master who likes to play around with messing with your faith. How devoted are you to this god? Let's find out. I played a. It's not exactly a cleric, but when I played the 5e game, about 5 so years ago, we played through Curse of Strahd and not Tomb of Horrors, Tomb of that other tomb, and we ended up in Chult. Chult. But I played this barbarian named Grog. This is a character I'm very proud of because he was a very good character. He was a lot of fun. And I actually got him at the end of the campaign. He was level 20. I had never done that before. A lot of people say like the midpoint is the sweet spot for characters, playing characters. And I'm not doubting that. But there is something about going up to 20th level. I think I played it right because I concentrated more on the character than I did the abilities. And he had the abilities, and I did use them, but I didn't let it get out of hand because to me, I played this character basically as Drax from Guardians of the Galaxy. Very literal, and he had his totem was a bear. He worshipped the bear deity or whatever like that. And at one point, he became a werebear. He remained a werebear. The other parties, you're a were, and he turned to a bear, and then he came back and said, oh my God, no, kill it. No, he was proud. He thought that becoming a werebear for this deity to him was the greatest honor to serve him. And that, Jeff, yeah, I can't get hi, Agile, how you doing? Yeah, Death Angel Shadow. Look at that, sneaking a show without me seeing the notification for it. Doggone it. Sorry, I'm just sort of kind of making up for the one we didn't do yesterday. It seems like between me, Eric, and Don, I'm the only healthy one right now. So, we're going to let him lie low. And I'm still wondering whether or not we're going to have a vlog of many things tomorrow night. I do not know. That is basically all up to Don. And we will see what goes on because I'm just one of the guys on his show. Caught it out of accidental timing. Yeah, that'll happen. I now send Don, like I just sent Don, I'm going to live stream in a few minutes. And I basically did because I know he's sick. So I basically said that was a courtesy. I did that out of courtesy. Okay. I mean, you're my editor, you're my publisher. We do shows together, stuff like that. I mean, other than just starting the show, I don't know how to let people know I'm good. Yeah, I know how, because to do it on a regular basis on a regular day. Okay. Yeah. Got it. But things have been so chaotic lately. I just, when I start this up, I hope that like YouTube is telling everybody. I mean, I know it ends up on my Facebook, so it is telling people, but I'm trying not to. I'm trying to do this more regular. That's why I wanted to do a Tuesday day one every day, every week, so we could do this on a regular basis. I got to get into a regular groove. I'm not doing the regular videos, but Eric says sometimes you sing karaoke on the streams, Glenn. Well, not really. I mean, I can put videos up of me actually at a karaoke bar singing karaoke. You know, I just sang last Saturday. I sang one song. It was such a big crowd. They had so many people singing. I got one song, but that's okay. I usually average about 3. And their karaoke contest, I did win second place. So I was happy on that. That was like, yeah. I mean, actually won something? Yeah. So you're gonna make me sing, aren't you? Don't make me sing, man. I'm not into it right now. Besides, you want it, do you want to see, if you ever want to see me totally have a blank brain, say, hey, why don't you sing something? What are you going to sing? I may have a dozen songs in my head and I will go, I don't know. What do you want to hear? Or something like that. I don't know what it is. Every time we go to karaoke, Becky goes, have you put a song in? I said, no, I haven't. What are you going to sing? Don't ask me that, please. I'm working it out I'm working it out right now. I just gonna put no pressure, right? Yeah, sure. And I've always wanted to. I mean, I got 3 cons to go to this year. One of them's going to have a karaoke bar somewhere, if not in the hotel, somewhere close. I'd love to do karaoke when I'm out at a gaming con. That would be fun. I did karaoke at a Gamma trade show once. Way 15 years ago, I went to a Gamma trade show in Vegas when they were doing it in Vegas at the Tropicana, yeah, the Riviera, which is not there anymore, which is too bad because they had a really good, in the back, they had a really good convention center. It wasn't the Las Vegas Convention Center, but it was their convention, and it was really nice. Sorry to see that go. But one night I was over in Ellis Island because I found out that Lone Wolf was hosting a karaoke night, and I went and sang, and it was a lot of fun. And the next day I was in the dealer room and I saw Monty Cook there at the booth, and he was there with his wife, and his wife comes up to me and said, you are such a good singer. God, I love listening to you. Thank you. Thank you. I try to be humble. I do. But what the hell were we talking about? I think we were talking about, clerics, yes. But that's my story on clerics. As far as like, I haven't turned a whole lot when I play clerics. Other people usually turn a lot more. Other clerics usually turn a lot more than I do. And there are certain, if you're going to go up against undead, you might want to think about it. Yeah. Terry, I cannot wait for WizardCon either. And I'm trying my best. That's why I got to GoFundMe to raise me some money so I can afford a flight out there. It's funny because in 2024, I managed to do 10 days in New York City and the Poconos with Eric and his wife. And well, that's back when Becky was still working, when we had money. It's just that we're very tight right now. And I've already made it clear that to Don I'm coming to his con, and I mean, the main draw for me is okay. The main draw for me is this right here. I want to be able to sit at a table and sell some of these and sign them and talk to people about it and things like that. The other thing is I'll run games. We will run games, and that's exciting. But the most exciting thing about going to 2 hour drive for me, yeah, that's like me in North Texas. It's a 3 hour drive for me from here. But what I said, oh yeah, I'm really excited to go to Battle Creek because I'm actually going to get to see people that never come down to Texas. Hair in my face. They never come down to Texas for one reason or another. I've been going to North Texas for quite a while now. I can't remember if it was 2009 or 2011 was my first one. But I noticed like all the old TSR guys, we're seeing less and less of them because they're getting older and dying, and or they just can't come to the con. I mean, we just lost Tim Cass. Tim Cass stopped going maybe a year or two ago. Frank Mincer does not come down there anymore because it's just, he's getting on and he just wants to do the local stuff. And I can understand that, but I'm excited to go to, so I can come up there and actually see these, hey, Frank, how you doing? I haven't seen you in a while, we used to have Janelle Jacquez come down until she passed away, and now her wife passed away. So Rebecca isn't coming either. But we're getting people like Jeff D and Merle Rasmussen, things like that, people like that. Diesel still comes. Errol Otis comes every once in a while. Marsh, Dr. Marsh comes. So we still get our share of old school people, but and it's so nice to be. I want to reconnect with them for at least a few days and talk to them and see what they're going on. So that's why I have the GoFundMe. I set the limit at 1,000 because I've been looking at airline prices, and I figured for 1,000 I'd have a decent flight and some spending money, mostly food. I worry about eating. I've got a badge. I've got a room. They comp me a room. I'm a special guest. I will be doing the charity game. One of the guys doing the charity games there, and I will be running Ghostbusters. And of course, I will be running Gangbusters, of course, and maybe some D&D. I don't know. I never know. Right now, I haven't put anything in, and I don't even know if I'm going to put any games into the WizardCon because, the more I do it, the less I want to tie myself down I want to run this. I want to do sort of an ad hoc. Go, okay, I just came home from lunch, 1:00. Why don't I go up there and submit a game? And we'll just do it. I love the open gaming. I love doing it that way. That's how I did. I did 2 Gangbusters on the schedule last year at North Texas, but I also managed to squeeze in a Ghostbusters game just in open gaming, and it was a lot of fun. So Terry says he's semi-retired. North Texas is costly to travel to. I really enjoyed Texas when I was stationed there. Oh, you must have been over in Lawton or Boeing or Tinker. My wife retired from Boeing. She used to work at Tinker. Fort Hood. Okay, I know what my friend Full On Gamer I do Thicko's Hammer with. He was stationed in Lawton for a while, and he used to do stuff down there. I don't know. He's a long haul trucker now. He lives, I think, in Virginia or something like that. But it's nice to see all those people. I'll be able to see my old buddy Eric. Love him to death. Eric comes down to North Texas every year, so I'm going to get to see him twice this year. The third one was, was it? It's in Denison, Texas. Something something con. But I cannot remember what con it is. But I'll be there. They asked me to run 3 games. I'd be happy to. I could sell my book there. I could sell to North Texas, and fine. I'm thinking if I can get my cohorts. If you guys ever listen to us on Thaco's Hammer, which is the best damn AD&D second edition podcast ever. Me and Brian and Full On Gamer, I'm hoping to get together at WizardCon because they are closer. Full On, easy for him when he's out because he's out trucking anyway. Brian lives in Ann Arbor. And so I'm closer to them. I said, come on down. Maybe we can do something. Maybe we can I'll even bring my AD&D second edition trivia game. And maybe we can do that with everybody watching, which sounds kind of fun. So I haven't really organized that yet, but I will be talking to the guys. We got a couple months yet. I've talked to Don. Don thinks it's a great idea. That'll be a lot of fun. That charity game, me, I think Merle Rasmussen and a few other people, and you pay to play, and it all goes to a local charity or something like that. The money goes to local charities and such. And I mean, North Texas does charity games too. They usually have whoever's the heavy hitters, the special guests down there play, and you pay to play there. But that all goes to supporting the convention. That they do raffles, they have auctions, the midnight auction. A lot of that stuff goes to the convention because Doug, one of the main, him and Bad Mike, Doug is passed on. He had, from what I understand, he had somewhat deep pockets, so he didn't mind losing. But now it's to the point where the con has to be able to, support itself, like most cons should. So, or they do that. But this I don't know what charity it's going to. Don hasn't. He may have told me. I forgot. I don't know. But that's what that's going to go for. Something they want to do for the community, which is a good thing. Because I always thought that game people, game communities, con communities, people, game clubs, whatever, they like to support the community and things like that. Do charities. That all night one they do where people like, I'll give you $50 for for if you play this long or something like that, and it all goes to whatever charity it is. I can't remember what it is. Charity is good. Yes, my charity is good too. Go to my GoFundMe. But anyway, that's my blatant asking right there. I had to do it at least once during the show. But anyway. All right. It's about time. And I'm going to call it here. Guys, thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening. I will be around again, I believe, Friday. If we don't do the show Thursday, I have Friday with Eric and Don, or me and Eric. I don't know. I think Eric is like, he's recovered enough, I think. Anyway, so you guys have a really good day and a really good week. Until I see you again, bye-bye. Later, guys.